Hey, housewives, come on in. You know the dirty dishes are still in the sink from yesterday and the laundry is still in the basket. Pop your AirPods in and make yourself at home here.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Tori.
And we are your Unlikely Housewives. Stepping out in faith and believing that God calls the unlikely, we are here to show you the appreciation and validation you deserve, lead you to authentic relationships, and release you of believing the cultural lies to restore your faith and wellness.
Pull up those high-waisted yoga pants, tighten your top knot, and reheat your coffee for the third time. Turn up the volume, and let's go.
Woohoo!
We are here.
Yeah. It's us.
Yeah.
We're here on the mics again.
Do you remember our voices, you guys?
Have they changed? I feel like I've matured.
Yeah, we've gone through puberty finally.
Or something else.
Yes. Upcoming in Unlikely Housewife episodes. We are so excited to be here, you guys, and we're just beyond thrilled to be here together again.
Yes.
It's been how many months?
4 months since we recorded.
Oh my gosh.
We did not foresee that.
Nope.
Some things happened.
Yeah. I mean, we told you guys at the end of the summer we would be back after Labor Day and whoops.
We didn't.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. We are sorry. We are sorry for that.
Yes, we are.
God used the last 4 months. He's used a lot of it. And
growth, refinement.
Pruning. Pruning in two. And so it's been all good things. And
wasn't easy.
No.
But good things came out of it.
Correct.
Because we know that diamond comes from lots of pressure. Isn't that how that goes?
Coals make diamond.
Thank you.
Pressure.
Yeah. There's some.
Oh, sorry. I just pulled her headphones and popped her.
We're
That's how I'm training her now. I'm pulling her headphones, you guys.
Remember those puppies she got? That's how she's treating me.
Yeah. Like a little leash. No, we are. We're in what? This is like our fifth location, I feel like.
But now this feels more formal. We're in an office.
Yes, with a pretty background. We're hoping in the new year we have video for you guys as well.
So you can watch as she smacks me and pops my head.
I'm going to have to cut that. I don't need proof of the physical abuse that she receives. Y'all, she's actually tied to the chair here. That's finally how I got her here.
I know. It feels like it.
She's handcuffed. But yeah, so that's something that we're hoping to come in the new year, a video for you guys. And then, we're just, this is like a refresh button, it feels like.
It is. And I think we all need that a little bit, especially this time of year. And I think one thing when we started looking at this, okay, we're going to have an anniversary episode. What's that going to look like? I mean, it's just going to be a one and done for December.
Yeah.
But we felt like we needed to just, for the both of us, as we came back together, just do this like year in review and kind of look at how far we've come.
Yeah.
Celebrate that we actually are here. We've made it a full year of being podcast co-hosts.
I know.
That's exciting.
That is really crazy. And with all the things that we've learned and been exposed to in the podcast industry, because we did a conference in March, a virtual one. And then I went to an in-person one in August. And y'all, holy freaking cow. Like, it's incredible. One, what's coming down the podcast pipeline of what's changing in the industry, what's coming in the industry, different programs that have
evolved for us.
Also, like YouTube is having a podcast channel now. They've, adopted podcasts because they know how things are turning more audio. But podcasters are now going, oh, I can also do video at the same time.
Right.
I mean, there's so much that
got to meet both sides, the audio and visual learners.
Right. Or those of you guys that have never seen us, what do we look like in your heads is going to be probably very different than
it'll be a whole new level of entertainment.
Yes. Yeah. The hot mess, actually. You get to see our no makeup looks, I'm sure. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy about what we have learned and how God has used the podcast in the last year to stretch us, grow us, and challenge us.
Yeah. And we have you guys to thank because you listeners showing up almost daily, Like, we published December 7th of 2021. And y'all, we have been listened to almost every single day of the year.
Yeah.
And we are approaching 10,000 downloads.
And that's insane, you guys.
That is insane. First year podcasters, that's insane.
Absolutely. I mean, again, learning from other podcasters and people who have been longtime podcasters and stuff like that to like hear that their numbers for their first year is incredible. Starting my own podcast and seeing those numbers, how those are different. You know, it's just, I mean, God has so blessed us with you guys, and we're just so incredibly thankful for you guys to continue to find us and show us love. And when you see us and go, hey, when's another podcast episode coming out?
It does feel good. I mean, we've received the texts, the DMs, even this morning.
I know.
We just got a text as we all together. We're like, okay, thank you, Jesus. That was such a beautiful sign of like, we have not met to discuss the podcast in 4 months, but like 1 or 2 other times. I mean, we see each other all the time. We've had our coffees and our good times together. But to really talk about the podcast and where we vision this going and restarting and what that would look like. I mean, we were together this morning and got that text of like, thank you so much for this episode. This like is so powerful. And so we know that what we're sharing and the encouragement that we provide, it's meeting you where you're at. And that's what we want to continue to do. And so I think, as we celebrate this year, we want to talk about some of the lessons we've learned.
I'm going to correct you on one thing because it's a personal thing for me, but I don't count this as restarting. This is right? Like this is a continuation.
For sure.
One of the things that God has taught me is that there's a difference between quitting, getting lost, and pausing. Those are 3 very distinct things. All of them include stopping something, but there is how God uses all of them, right? Quitting is the intentional decision to stop doing something. Getting lost is getting lost. You don't know exactly where you're going, what you're doing. And, sometimes when you're lost, you stay stuck. And that's okay. That's unintentional stopping because you're stuck. And then pausing is the intentional stop with the intent to keep going. And so I think we too often think that when something stops, we automatically think that it's quit. But I think getting lost and pausing are very important to remember as well. And then that's a lesson that I've learned this past year.
And I think, and something that we wanted to talk about, and this is actually part of one of our tips for something that we've learned in starting something new, is that the pause that we had to do was, it was a halt. It was forced. There was no option in this season that we were in. And it was personal to me. And that's something that we'll get into probably next year in some of the episodes. But when family drama, and I don't even want to say drama because it wasn't, but when family trauma struggles hit, there's nothing that you can do but to stop sometimes and just pour into where you're at. And that pause absolutely was like, hey, I just need to be still. I need to be present. And I really need to take care of my family and myself. And as I started to come out of that, I knew that we would be, coming back sooner rather than later. And I think the beauty of the timeline of the year anniversary coming, we had envisioned what this year celebration would look like. And we didn't want it to go by without celebrating that.
And being thankful and grateful for what it is. We certainly, the last 4 months were not what we had envisioned by any means. We didn't plan on taking that long of a break for you guys. And God still used it. And we're being faithful. And it's time where he's like, put it back and said, okay, I need y'all back here in this space. And you're going to have room for this now. And that is something I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yeah. And I think everybody's going to experience this at one point or another. Maybe it's not your podcast. Maybe it's your side business. Maybe it's something that you're wanting to do as a house project or something you get started and something just knocks you off kilter and you just have to pause, but you just get back to it. And I think so many of us think, and I know I had guilt with this of like, wait, I promised, I said I was going to be here for this. I said I was going to do this weekly, and I think we think that that's failure instantly. And then all of a sudden we carry this guilt that just, there's no place for it. It doesn't serve a purpose.
I'll say from the flip side, you had these family things. And at first I was like, hey, like we're a team here. Mm-hmm. And so everything we do is with both of our decision and both of our, you know, where we want to go forward. And so while I was going, okay, well, you know, and she couldn't give me a date because again, of the things that they were going through, it wasn't like, well, I know we'll be over by then. And God used that time to teach me like, hey, I have this. I knew she would be here. Yep. I knew that you guys were a team. I have something else for you at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to honor this and I'm going to do what I need to do with both of you, separate you for a little bit in this space. And then, you know, like, trust me.
Yeah.
I put you in the podcasting for a reason. I trust me with this space too. But even before, I think the other thing that we have to acknowledge is, let's be real. Trying to schedule and record podcasts in the summers was tough too.
Yeah, that was...
You have to
talk about pivoting after what we had done the whole first season.
Yeah. Y'all, we had our families, our husbands knew what days we were going to be gone because we had specific days where we would meet and plan and then specific days to record. So they knew our schedule and we are very much planners and we're like, we have got our routine going. Well, summer hits, all that goes out the window. She's got 4 kids going in different directions. I've got 2 who I'm still the chaperone and supervisor of. I can't leave them by themselves yet. And so doing that, it was a challenge. And it would have been easy for us to say, after our 25th episode, to say, well, we're just going to take the summer off. But
and maybe next summer we will. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We'll get there when we get there. But like, we felt like God continued to give us the content and the material, and it was a challenge. And there were compromises made.
Yeah.
And some things that we said, okay, we've got to put off this, or we've got to work in the evening, which we don't typically do. Again, all fine things, but work when you can work. And then this fall, it was like, there was no way. Mm-hmm. But it would have been even worse, I guess. I mean, it would have been the fact that if we had not recorded this summer at all, it would have been too easy to let this go completely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, sometimes you do have to work through the hard. And I think that proves that we can this summer working through the hard. But I think we had a vision where we wanted to go, but we didn't know what it was going to look like. We started weekly because we thought, okay, we want to be a weekly podcast.
Yep.
Well, then when you take everything that goes into it, it became something that it was a heavy load. And as mamas, you all know, May is insane. It's probably worse than the holidays. It's probably worse than back to school. May is just crazy.
Because what do we call it? Maycember, right? Because it's the craziness of all the events, all the things for your kids, everything
graduations, the wrap-ups, the concerts, the teacher appreciation, which is very well deserved, but all the things. And so we started feeling that after spring break and coming back and firing things in. So once we said, hey, okay, let's stop the weekly. Let's just close out a season and let's start over. Well, we didn't know summer series was just going to be a theme, a summer series. We didn't know that. And then when we were like, okay, let's figure out what's going to be for the fall. Well, we didn't get to that planning date because we had to halt. And
well, honestly, let's back up. I mean, to be the summer series, we thought we knew what we were going to do guest weekly on hard topics.
Yeah.
Right. And then we were like, no, let's do something else. That's where all the came from. And then we were like, well, we'll do those guests and that series in the fall.
Yeah.
Like, so there was flip-flopping even with that. Mm-hmm. Like our original summer series idea changed. Then we were going to do it in the fall. And now that's completely,
that's tie that probably into our next year's theme. But
right. Or we won't even have it. For our main season, we don't really have to have a theme because we're the theme.
Yes, we are the Unlikely Housewives.
Yes.
Well, we do know that the reason that we got where we have this year is because of you guys. And listeners, you see the end result. Yep. You see the 35 episodes, which still amazing that 35 episodes has reached 10,000 downloads. But we think the only thing that counts is what we give you. And we've been reminded that all the work that we've done in between is actually where the growth has happened for us. And so we want to remind you that no matter what you're trying to, produce or put out there or share, you need to realize that you're seen in the work that you do behind the scenes.
Yeah. I'll relate it to kids. When our kids leave our house, they are representatives of our families, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they go out of our house and make poor decisions, okay, how often do we put that on ourselves?
All the time. Yep.
What did I do wrong? Where did I mess up? What did I but nobody knows besides the child, the end result. Nobody knows the prayer that has gone into that kid, the Bible studies that you've done with that child, the conversations, all the things. But we think the only thing that counts is the action that they did outside of the house, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much behind that nobody else is ever going to know about.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is ever going to know about. To say, too, is like if a kid comes out of the house and makes a poor decision, one, remind yourself that God had the perfect parent, God, had two perfect children and they still sinned. Okay? So remind yourself of that if you think you've parented failed. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
There's not. If you love that child, that's a win. So, but again, we can put the guilt on us, right? I'm not doing enough. They're not seeing us post. They're not seeing us put out new episodes. They're not seeing this, but they don't. I mean, I love y'all, but y'all don't see the conversations that Tracy and I have, or 4 days I spent in Dallas from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, going into classes, meeting with people, trying to find out what's new, how we can serve our listeners better. What are people wanting? Where's this going? How to make it easier for us to find mamas in need and be there for them. Like, that's not stuff that is ever going to be on our podcast feed.
Just what we went through the last few months. I mean, there's so much that just hasn't been shared and can't be shared yet. I mean, there's stuff that will never be shared,
right?
Because that's not my place to tell. But there is stuff that can be shared to remind you that you're not alone in really hard seasons. And I think no matter what, and this is what we're going to move into next year with these episodes, like, it's really, really hard to feel alone in a really bad struggling place. But from a few months out, some healing, some grace, you can start to speak into that time a little bit. And that's what we're going to do, because when we started talking about how we were going to do this, I said, I'm not sure I'm really ready, but I don't want to let this go by. And we just kind of talked about it. And I really think the Lord brought this to our attention that, hey, it's okay to speak and share from a place of struggle. You don't have to be like you were a year ago. You don't have to be on solid ground and speaking from a place of strength and perfection even, or even in control, because I'm not in control still.
Yeah, still. No.
Still, nope. So I think it's very hard to share vulnerability and share the struggle for fear of judgment.
Yeah.
For fear of just being looked at differently, probably.
Yeah.
I also know from going through something really difficult that if you do not speak on it, how can anyone learn from the hard spot? Because you do feel alone. And this is just a place that you and I have come to that feels like, hey, we can use our voice. And if someone clicks play, it may be exactly what they needed to hear for the day.
Exactly. And there's so much that it's funny because God taught us in this last 4 months, God has used the last 4 months for you in a family space, right?
Yeah.
And God has used the last 4 months for me in a creative business place of shameless plug here for my own podcast, Girl Boss Rehab, where I like how he has just said, okay, like, again, I mean, one of the things that we want to talk about is the idea of work-life balance and how God has transformed, I mean, like, complete 180 of what you and I thought work life was supposed to look like and the result of work life in the last, year, 2 years. He's really changed that and opened our eyes. And I mean, once the veil is lifted, like, holy crap, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, there is just so much that the enemy can use. When we are getting taken away from things that God wants us to, it never feels bad at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the enemy starts to lure us away. It always feels good. It always feels right. It always feels comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't ever feel like, oh, no. This says a no trespassing sign. I'm not supposed to be back here.
Yeah.
It's so easy because we can convince ourselves even more. I mean, how right we are in the decisions that we're making.
Yeah.
Right? I'm doing it for my family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, short-time sacrifice, long-term gain.
Yeah.
Like some of the things that we can sell ourselves on, y'all, are just awful. Hustle, hustle, hustle. That's a lot of what Girl Boss Rehab is. It's talking about taking the hustle. Okay. I'm not saying don't work hard. You are supposed to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to work for God, not man. But it's shifting your mindset about what that looks like and making sure that you're working for an audience of one and not for the approval of others.
Yeah.
But again, you and I have learned so much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
We've laid a lot at the feet of the cross.
yes.
A lot.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And try to walk back. Like, can we, wait, hold on, Lord. Let me just take this for a second. Nope. And then he's like, nope. And we're like, okay, are you sure? Like, hold on, wait.
I mean, we've all done it. You know, we chase the wrong things and we just get lost. We were talking about it before, just with the social media and the dopamine hits and like just being sucked into that life that is just so not real.
Right.
And just being glued to it.
And even like who we're listening to, right? And how easy when you're in a company or in a business where they're selling you this idea of what your life and business needs to look like. And
that might not be what your family or your plan is to be.
Exactly. I mean, I love how God used. You and I would not be sitting here today if Plexus was not in either one of our lives.
Right.
We also would not be sitting here today if COVID didn't happen.
True.
Our husbands would not be in the position that they are in. COVID has single-handedly changed our husbands' lives in their work lives for the better.
Yeah.
And I say better does not mean money, does not mean financially, but they are better men.
Absolutely.
Husbands and fathers because of COVID.
And I think that's really ultimately God's plan, is to have us share some of those, like, I mean, heartaches and that, like, letting things go, like leaving the idols, leaving the chasing and leaving the, just all the things that we thought defined us and who we are. Just leave it and move closer to him and what his plan is for our lives, our marriages, our kids, our work-life balance.
Yeah.
All of it. But I think what we've learned over the last year, because we used 2020 as that growth year and we shared a lot in the first 6 months of our podcast. And then guess what? We had to go through more life again. And we're going to
2021. We started in 2021.
Yeah.
You said 2020.
Well, but that was the year that we had the hardship that we shared it in 2021.
Okay, yeah.
And this year, I think we've gone through so much more that we got to a place of, well, we're supposed to be sharing from strength. We're supposed to be sharing from encouragement and power and not even like power, but like conviction and just and being prideful in what we were sharing. I wouldn't say that we were prideful, but we were proud of what we could share that we'd walked through.
Right.
And then we got knocked down again. And I think we're really excited about what's to come next year because we're going to start sharing from our place of struggles versus our place of strength.
Yeah. And I think that you guys are going to get a lot, not out of it, but again, we want you to know that, I mean, you're not alone. And
yeah, that's the beginning mission.
That has always been our idea of, hey, if we talk to these women that are listening and just let them know, like, we're there too.
And I mean, go back to our first episode, like, we're not who we used to be and that's okay. Let's do part 2. Let's do part 3. I mean, I think we go through these seasons of life where we think, okay, we finally made it. And then you're like, nope, you're going through another change. You're going through another hardship. You're going through another struggle. And we forget that that's part of the process. Like going through the pain, going through the hardship is what gives you the opportunity to share the testimony of how you overcame something. I've always heard that the testimony doesn't come without the test.
Right.
And I think that's what we're going to start sharing from that place of struggle so that you guys realize, hey, you can still do things when you're in hard times.
Yeah. Because let's be clear, this mess is not over. I mean,
no.
Yeah. And so often, we think that in order to share our testimony, that it has to be completely over. We have to have completely overcome it, right?
Yep.
You and I both work in a wellness business, and a lot of people don't want to share a product that they feel better from until they have their own testimony. Mm-hmm. While in the meantime,
there's victories. There's small steps.
There's still small steps. It doesn't have to be this 180 transformation. People still want to see the 10% growth. People want to see
it gives people hope.
Yeah. You don't have to hit rock bottom before you start coming up again, or you don't have to hit rock bottom. Let us help you not hit rock bottom
Yeah. So I think you guys are going to see more real life out of us next year. And we're going to continue the mom life conversations, the marriage conversations, work-life balance. But we are open to questions and suggestions because you guys are our listeners. Like we've said, we're consistently around 300 to probably 500, I would say, listeners that have found us and continue. And we want to know what you want to hear about, not just from us, but we have some great speakers lined up already for the spring, winter, spring. We are going to have some hard conversations and we're going to talk about it from the current hard stuff.
Yeah. And so reach out to us. We would love to know. You can DM us. If you have our phone numbers, text us.
Yeah. Find us on social media.
Find us on social media. Find us in our Facebook group. However, because again, we want to give you more of what you want. We're doing this, one, to be obedient to God, but two, because we're with you. And if there's something that we haven't talked on yet, or you want more of talking, more marriage or more parent, I don't know what we want to be able to serve you guys in the places that you want to hear more from.
Absolutely. So help us share this episode.
Yes, please.
Celebrating 1 year of Unlikely Housewives of JoCo.
Tracy, happy anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary, Tori.
Oh.
And we are going to ask you to share this to help us break 10,000 with this episode.
Yes.
We're going to do it.
We are going to do it. It's definitely going to happen.
And we will be back in January.
Yes, we will. And
we will.
We will look. I know. Hold on. I went on contract. Tracy, will you be back in January?
Yes. Tori, will you be back in January?
Yes, I will be back in January. All right.
So your Unlikely Housewives will be back.
Yes, we will. Have a great holiday season, you guys, and a happy new year. And we'll see you then.
Yes. See you then. Whether we made you laugh or cry today, we pray you feel appreciated, bolder and braver than yesterday, stronger and more faithful for tomorrow, and living in who you were made to be today.
Join our online community on Facebook, link in the show notes, and be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you enjoy listening. Until next time, housewives, we give you permission to walk confidently, free, and to be intentional in your slippers or stilettos.